welcome. Hey, if you've ever been driving around Metro Atlanta, looked at a nice piece of open land and thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to own that? Well, you are definitely in the right place today. I'm your host from Area Realty, basically your neighbor who just really loves real estate. And today, we're zeroing in on something super important. How to actually get started buying land right here, in our own backyard.
Right.
We're going to skip the really dense jargon and just break down the essentials, the real key points, so you can figure out if this whole land buying adventure might be right for you.
That's exactly right. I mean, buying land can seem pretty daunting at first glance, but when you boil it down to like you said, the key points, it gets a lot more manageable. Think about it. Maybe you're dreaming of a huge garden, maybe it's an investment you want to see grow, or maybe you just, want some space, your own quiet spot. The starting point, though, is pretty much the same for everyone.
Okay, so let's dive into that first point. It sounds almost too simple, but it really shapes everything else, doesn't it? What is your actual goal for this land? Like, are you really picturing building your forever home there? Is it more about holding on to it as an asset for down the road? Or is it maybe just having that personal escape, that little piece of nature?
Precisely. That why is basically your navigation system for this entire process. If building is the plan, then you're immediately focused on things like soil quality, topography, access to utilities, power lines, water, septic potential. That's quite different than if you're thinking pure investment. Then you might be looking harder at, say, future development trends in that specific area. Knowing your why early on really helps filter out distractions later. It clarifies what's truly important.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you've got that vision clear in your head. What comes next? Finding the actual spot, right? Here in Metro Atlanta. And we always hear it in real estate, location, location, location. Is it even more critical when you're talking about just land?
I'd say so, yeah, because you're not just buying a house in a location, you're buying the location itself in a way. And what's interesting is how personal location becomes. What matters specifically to you? Is it about being close to certain amenities, maybe schools, maybe shopping, maybe your job? What's the actual vibe of the area like? Does it feel right? And definitely keep an ear out for future plans. Is there a new highway planned nearby? A big development that could really change things, for better or worse.
So how do you even begin looking? It's not like every empty lot has a big for sale sign.
No, definitely not always. Starting online is usually a good first step. Real estate websites can give you a general lay of the land, pardon the pun, see what's listed, get a feel for prices. But honestly, talking to local real estate professionals, people who really know the area, like you guys at Area Realty, that local knowledge is invaluable. We often hear about things before they hit the wider market. And of course, there's absolutely no substitute for getting out there, walking the property yourself, feeling it.
Right. Boots on the ground.
Exactly.
But here's a potential pitfall, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to get swept away by, say, a great view or some nice trees. What are some of the less obvious things people need to watch out for when they're looking at land?
Oh, that's a great point. You have to look deeper than just the surface appeal. You need to understand the local land market itself. Are prices generally going up or down in that specific pocket?
Yeah.
What have similar parcels sold for recently? That's your kids line. And then crucially, and we'll probably keep coming back to this, you have to investigate the zoning regulations. Seriously, can you legally do what you want to do on that land? Build a house, subdivide it, maybe run a small business.
Okay, so zoning is huge.
Huge. And don't forget environmental factors, too. Are there protected wetlands on the property, steep slopes that might limit building, things like that?
Got it. So let's say you found a couple of spots that seem promising, location's good, seems like it fits the plan. Now we get to the money part. Financing. How different is getting a loan for raw land compared to a house?
Yeah, it's definitely a different animal. Lenders, generally speaking, view land loans as a bit riskier than a standard mortgage on an existing home because there's no structure there yet, right?
Yeah.
So what that usually means for you, the buyer, is a larger down payment.
Okay, how much larger are we talking typically?
Often in the neighborhood of 20%, sometimes even more, depending on the lender and the specific property. And the loan terms themselves might be shorter, too. You might not get a 30-year loan like on a house. It could be more like 10 or 15 years.
Wow, okay, so that's a significant factor for budgeting. Definitely need a heads up on that. What are the options then? Where do people go for these land loans?
Well, you should certainly talk to traditional banks and credit unions. See what specific land loan products they offer. Some specialize in it more than others, but another avenue, one that's sometimes overlooked, is seller financing.
You mean the person selling the land actually acts like the bank?
Sort of, yeah. It's not always available, but sometimes the seller is willing to finance the purchase directly for the buyer, maybe with a balloon payment down the road or something. It's always worth asking the question.
Interesting.
But the absolute bottom line here is figure out your budget and get pre-approved or at least pre-qualified before you fall head over heels for a specific piece of land. Know what you can realistically afford.
Sound advice. Avoid that potential heartbreak later.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got your financing options lining up. You're serious about a property. Talk about the homework phase, the due diligence, what absolutely has to be checked.
Right, due diligence. This is where you really roll up your sleeves and make sure everything is exactly as it seems. It's your protection. Key things.
Right.
First, verifying the title. Who actually owns this land legally? Are there any liens or encumbrances on it, like unpaid taxes or judgments tied to the property? A title search is essential.
Okay, got to check the time. What else?
Boundaries. You need to know exactly where the property lines are. You don't want disputes with neighbors later. This often means hiring a licensed land surveyor.
Ah, the surveyor. Makes sense. Who else might you want on your team at this stage?
A good real estate attorney who is experienced with land transactions is, well, I'd say almost indispensable. They'll review all the complex documents, the purchase agreement, the title report, everything to make sure your interests are fully protected. They spot things you or I might miss.
And they can help navigate those rules we mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. They can help you understand the zoning ordinances in detail. Can you actually build that house you planned? How far back from the road does it need to be? Are there restrictions on cutting trees? They'll also help look into any environmental regulations that might apply. Floodplains, endangered species habitats. You need to know before you buy.
So much to check. Okay, you've done all that homework, the surveys look good, the title's clear, financing is set, you're ready to make it happen. What's the next step? Making an offer.
Exactly. You submit your offer, and then comes the negotiation phase. This is where you and the seller go back and forth on the price, maybe the closing date, any contingencies like the sale depends on getting that final loan approval, for example.
And being informed about the market really helps here, right?
Yeah.
Knowing those comparable sales.
Oh, absolutely. It gives you leverage and helps you make a fair offer. Once you both agree on all the terms and sign the purchase agreement, you head towards the final step, the closing.
Closing. Sounds very official. What actually happens then?
It is pretty official. It's the culmination of everything. Essentially, it involves signing a lot of documents. The funds from your loan plus your down payment get transferred to the seller. And most importantly, the deed, the legal document proving ownership, is signed over to you and then officially recorded with the county government.
And that recording is what makes it truly yours.
That's the moment. It's legally, officially yours. And again, having your attorney present at the closing table is really advisable to ensure everything is handled correctly.
Okay, wow. So the ink dries, the money changes hands, and then what? You're standing there, maybe on your newly acquired piece of Georgia soil. What's that moment like?
It's usually a mix of excitement and maybe a little bit of, okay, now what? But mostly excitement. It really is the start of a brand new adventure. Whether you're breaking ground next month or just planning to hold on to it and let your plans develop over time, owning land just feels different, full of potential.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The key from that point forward is just, take your time with whatever comes next. Continue to do your research as you plan any development. And don't ever hesitate to ask for advice from professionals, builders, architects, surveyors, us realtors as you move forward.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, some really solid key points to get you thinking if buying land here in the metro Atlanta area might be for you. It's definitely a big step, no doubt about it. But with the right information and the right approach, it can be incredibly rewarding. And of course, if you are curious, if you want to learn more, or maybe just chat about your own specific ideas for buying land, the team here at Erie Realty, we serve the entire metro Atlanta area, and we're absolutely here to help. Feel free to give us a call. The number is 678-775-8108. Again, that's 678-775-8108. We would genuinely love to be part of your land buying journey. Thanks so much for tuning in today.